It's been exactly too long. Let's get the brakes on this thing finished up. Now, I got to take the master cylinder off because last time I worked on this, I got all the physical fab work done to make everything mount up correctly. Now we got to bleed the system. I've got the caps. I've got everything I need to bleed the master cylinder per the instructions from manualbrakes.com. Let's get after it. Okay, per the instructions, I've never bled a master cylinder this way. It says, level with the floor in a bench vise with the outlets plugged. Cycle the piston with something blunted so that way you don't hurt the piston or anything. And it should, let me get this in the right light, it should become hard after a few cycles. So I got the rubbery end of a pair of pliers that lost its center thingy, and now I'm pushing on it. Granted, I've cycled it a few times just to make sure those ports aren't leaking, and it's getting hard as a rock very quickly, and I'm very near the end of the travel. Okay, so I pushed on the piston. I made this thing pretty hard, but there was still a little bit of movement in the piston. And per the instructions, if there is still movement in the piston after step 4, apply pressure to the master cylinder with a rod and unscrew one of those and effectively, bleed the air out of the system. I did that. I got air bubbles. And now this piston is quite hard. Let me put the instructions down, grab the blunted instrument, and now it's like it barely moves. So I think I'm on to something here. Now the instructions say to apply pressure and keep it there for 45 seconds to make sure that nothing is bypassing in the master cylinder. So I'm going to, hold on to this for a minute. So now that I'm happy that it's bled, I've got to get it put back on the firewall. And the only conundrum that I have is I got to get those caps out with those adapters that go to those flare fittings. I got to make that work so that way I introduce as little air as possible into the system. But first, I got to run to the store because I dropped the metric nuts that go with the bolts. And I don't have metric stuff. I have SAE. So I'm going to run to the store, get the right metric nuts, and I'll be back. So the master cylinder's bolted to the firewall. This is one of those things. It takes 2 people, so find a willing accomplice. If your wife's willing to help you, all the better. Mine's awesome. She helped me out on this one. So I did verify that the brake pedal... Ooh, we're looking to avoid a darkness down there. There's a brake pedal down there, honest. The brake pedal itself is hard as a rock, so that's a good thing, meaning that this master cylinder is holding its bleed. So next up is to take the plugs out, grab the adapters, thread them in while introducing as little air as possible. Next up is bleeding the brakes. I don't have a magic bullet for this. I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way with 2 people. So we're going to be at this a while. We'll come back later. So I just got the wheels and tires on. Want to show you something real quick. Just got these Greasy's grip wipes. Since I'm handling the camera all the time, I kind of have to keep my hands a little bit clean. These things are great, so I'm not like constantly running over, washing my hands, soap and water. Quick wipe, and I'm clean to handle the camera and all that good stuff. So we made it out to the street. That's a good sign. Just gonna give it a little bit of a roll, and I got brakes. That's good. So far the pedal feels okay. It's an entirely different feel compared to what I'm used to with the vacuum assist, so I'm gonna hop on them real hard. Well, it didn't lock them up, so that's an interesting thing. First drive, there's something not right. It's good enough to drive it around the neighborhood. It's not even enough to hold it at 2,000 RPM like I would launch at the drag strip. I'm standing on the firewall, and it's just not quite enough brake. I'm gonna have to figure something out. So after the last disappointing test drive of the El Camino, I came back with a new resolve. Found a couple of things. Let me show you what they are and how they helped. So way back there in the cave of G-body, it's really easy to get to on an El Camino, really easy. The hard line where it changes to a rubber line to go to the rear differential, had my wife pump the brakes, and I bled that line just a little bit, and then came out and bled both wheel cylinders on the rear. That got better. And don't worry, those are the burnout tires. The next one is really hard to film. Let's see if I can get you somewhere. So way up at the top there is the pushrod that runs from the arm of the brake pedal to the master cylinder through the firewall. What I did is lengthen that about 100,000ths of an inch. That took some of the slop out of the brake pedal, and now I get good engagement about level with the gas pedal. So that's better than it was. Now, it is worth noting that both of those things, David Schultz of Manual Brakes recommended that I check that line, because it kind of has this woohoo to where it goes into the rubber line, and the brake pedal push rod length, that's just something that kind of makes sense, because if you have a longer push rod, you take up the slop, you have higher engagement on the pedal. And then there's Harvey the Golden Doesn't Retriever over there, barking at who knows what. We're out of the driveway, that's a good sign. Let's see how we do. First major stop. I think I can live with that. Let's try a little bit faster. Not great, but better. I think it'll be okay. Let's just drive around for a minute and see if it's just a matter of getting the new pads and shoes bedded in. So let's just, bunch of slow starts and stops. So far, it's doing pretty good. I think there could be a little bit of room for improvement, but they are predictable, and that's a good benefit. So let's just see if it'll hold like a 2,000 RPM stall like I would be on the line. So after that first test drive, and to be honest, I quit lying to myself, I had a good friend of mine come over, fellow drag racer, good friend. We took a look at the system to determine what the heck is going on, because there really isn't enough brake there to be comfortable. These are brakes. I need them to work if I want to get back to my family, race a second time. It's like a parachute. It's only important if you want to go skydiving twice. So there's a couple of things that we came to the conclusion of. Let me show you what's going on. So we looked at everything. We looked at everything, including the adjustment of the drum brakes at the back. We concluded that I had those set up right for the application. Basically all the way out till I'm getting, friction, and then backing off half a turn on the adjuster screw. It was about exactly where it needed to be. There's more. The plumbing modifications that I made to the proportioning valve to the line lock, that was also going to work out okay. That also meets the NHRA spec. So even where I put it, it should have worked. So what the heck is the problem? Well, the thing we keep coming back to is there an issue with the master cylinder? This is a 7/8 inch bore master cylinder, and everything I can see shows that this master may be too small of a bore. So I've got some parts coming, and as soon as I get here, it's going to go on, and we're going to figure out what the heck is going on and if we can improve this. So what's the fix? I'm going to a 1-inch bore master cylinder. We determined that it just needs more volume because I'm pushing the pedal so far down. It's able to satisfy the pressure requirement, at least so we think, but it's just not providing the volume that the system needs to be able to actuate. So we're gonna get a 1-inch bore master cylinder. 15/16 based on our math would also be correct, but they're just nowhere near as common as a 1-inch bore master cylinder for a manual setup. So I've got a 1-inch bore master cylinder coming, and hopefully, based on our math, that should satisfy the pressure requirement and the volume requirement, and that should give me much better pedal feel to be able to make this work. I was able to barely lock up the front wheels on gravel. There is no chance that this system was actually really going to work as it needed to for what I wanted to do with it. I mean, I'm relying on the brakes to haul this thing down from 100 miles an hour every pass in the quarter mile. I would really like to be able to do this safely. I've got kids. I want to make sure I get back to them. That's why this is so darn important to figure out. Anyways, parts are coming. They should be here soon. And as soon as they get here, there will be more coming your way. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.